The rise of class society, I am amazed that some people who call themselves sociologists, social scientists, and so on. Should I say ignore? Don't recognize? Or even hate class society as if it is a mere concept. What I want to tell the social scientists is that class society is not hidden. It's not hidden among the classes. It's not hidden as a fact. Only if you go into the facts historically, not by presumption. Oh, by the way, some sociologists try to redefine class dishonestly. I say dishonestly. I say dishonestly. Because these are not mistakes. Dishonestly. So as to erase it. You see? So the analogy I always make about society is this. You see, in biology, they distinguish between vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are animals with a backbone.
With backbone, yes.
And a central nervous system.
Nervous system, yes.
Invertebrates are animals with backbone. Those sociologists who are confused should use that biological analogy. Just as the emergence of the central labor system, I've written this into what I'm telling you is what I've written into some of my papers, which are not published. Just as the emergence of vertebrates was a watershed that is a fundamental qualitative change in the organization of animals. So the emergence of class is a fundamental reorganization of society. Everything changes. The language changes. The law changes. Several customs change. The family changes. Politics changes. If you go about the matter historically, what is called the state exists only in class society. Non-class societies are at the same time stateless societies. So society is organized like that. It is because these things are not exposed in the universities in Western Europe and the United States. I must say that. Look, I am a Marxist. And the reason I am a Marxist is that Marx invented a number of approaches to the study of society, without which you will be blind. You will be floating in blindness. He introduces a kind of structural approach. You see? No such approach exists anywhere else. The other sociologists don't even know how to classify a society. It's like a biologist who doesn't know how to classify animals, or who doesn't know how to classify living things into plants and animals. These sociologists, what you call sociology in the US and Western Europe, is like that. They don't know how to classify societies in the first place.
That's taxonomy?
It's taxonomy, yes. If you were to read my paper, the specificity of the capitalist economy, you will see this. You see about how the so-called sociologists or other social scientists have failed to arrive at any consistent or meaningful classification of societies. So there do exist classless and class societies. And from my own study, the societies of people like the Oron people, the Thief people, the Ibibio people, and so on, were classless.
Hitato.
In Yoruba land, you had class society. Among the Benis, you had class society. Among the Jokon, you have the initiation of class society. In Hausala, there was class society. In Borno, there was class society. There were in Nigeria classless and class societies. Before the white man came here, these people, the colonialists, they just came and superimposed their own capitalism on these societies. We're not talking of that. We're talking of what was originally here. See? And if you look at the organization of these societies, you will see the difference. You see? And it is the law, it is the rule that if something existed as an institution in classless society, when a class society evolves, that thing will be changed. It is either abolished or changed. If it is an important institution, it will not be possible to just abolish it. It will be changed. And over time, it can be changed beyond recognition. Nobody can study society without the history of society. I'm speaking to you as someone who has studied the history of the various communities that were in America, the history of Europe, the history of Britain, history of Russia, and the history of China, and so on, and the communities in India, the history of Latin America. I read it. If you came to my library when I had a library in history, it would stretch from here, my history library. So all the facts are concretely in my head. When I open my eyes, I see these facts, which others don't see, to my amazement. You see? So, my dear, the class society is a fact. Well, Karl Marx was against capitalism. He wanted a classless society. This is so they hate him. But you don't hate a man. You just throw away the baby with the bathwater. That's what they did. Throw away with the baby. That man invented certain things, and I have learned a lot by just. You see, I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate. Anybody who has anything important to say, I go and read him. In spite of what people, if he's a devil, let me read what the devil says. Yes. I read Hitler's Mein Kampf, found out what he wrote.
What he said.
Even though Hitler was a devil. That is my own approach to these things. So, my dear, when class society began among the ethics, owing to, I think, a favorable geographical position, not any genius of their own. There are cities in the world that arose like that, out of a favorable geographical situation, especially when trade started. Rome was like that. So this place where the geographical is Baghdad. Other places like that, yes, Baghdad, yes. So, they became centers of the rise of new classes.
New classes, trading.
You see, the merchant class arose, especially this merchant class.
That is private accumulation of capital.
And then the other class, that is the land owning class, began to change because of the rise of the these money wealth people. You try to copy the money wealth now, even if you hate it, you are compelled to try to copy it. That's what happened in Europe. You see, the landlords didn't like these commercial people. They were never liked. They were not liked by the Greeks, they were not liked by the Romans, they were not liked during the Middle Ages and so on.
Neither were they liked by the masses in Nigeria today.
You see, but somehow they compel their...
But it's a social fact.
They compel their moneyism. They compel everybody to admit their money influence in the end. And that's how it happened here.
That's how it is everywhere.
Like everywhere, you see.
Prof,
they undermine the communal rules and the Ekpe rules. That was obvious. They had to undermine it in their own interest. So I don't know. You were asking me how was it that this communal thing, community police, came under. How was it? New properties arose. I mean, new ways of owning property. New interests arose. New laws came to be made. When there's no big money, you don't make any law governing big money. When there's big money, you have to make a law governing big money. New claims arose.
No claims, no rules.
You see? And new efforts to assert social power arose. It is these things everywhere in the world that lead to the rise of a state. Whether it is the history of the Chinese, of the Yoruba people, of the Hausa people, of any people that you read, it is the same. That is why if anybody in the world is asking where social science is, it is here. It is at Calabar. Not in Europe, not in America. It is in my brain at Calabar.
Professor, Thank you very much. So with the rise of these ethnic royal families, we're talking 200 years ago now.
Yeah.
I think that as Calabar goes, the rest of the people like to follow Calabar because they're successful. So did this in turn transform Ekpe in the entire region? Or is it possible there are still areas that have more of a communal Ekpe?
Well, they have little opportunity now to transform Ekpe. What will happen is that it will probably disappear. When the villages become influenced to a certain extent by urbanity, by money, by the state and state power, which Ekpe chief is equal to a local government chairman, even now.
Even now,
Even now.
to talk less of future.
So the prospect I see is that
It will die. It will go away.
Disappear.
Eventually, yeah. And we have started seeing the traces of its disappearance. Because now it is only the ceremonial aspect of it that we witness regularly now. And it's now being exported to cities and towns for ceremonies. When a governor is to be sworn in, when a local government chairman is to be sworn in, that's when Ekpe masquerades Nabo, a lot of things are mobilized to entertain.
It's just an entertainment.
It's for entertainment now.
It reminds me of what my friend, the Yoruba boy, Ogubanjo is his name. This man was a very active action group man. At the time, I was a friend of the action group. And the action group in Sita was party. Was not very friendly with the Obas and the Obaship institutions.
They're not official. A lot of things like that were dead with.
Because he was a Democrat. He was a modern man. Democrat. All these traditional structure can be done. In fact, that man did a lot for Nigeria that nobody recognizes. He broke the power, decided to change the Sultan of Sokoto.
When Sultan of Sokoto, there are two emirs. One was the emir of Muri, first, by Jang. That's what's called Madaki. Then the second time was the removal of Sultan of Sokoto. They could not do it.
That confirms Marxism 100%. The Marxian definition of the state is that in the ultimate, it is armed power. And you go through history, any part of history you read, this is true. But the so-called experts I am amazed at them. These so-called professors in Western Europe and America, they keep on denying this thing, which is obvious to any honest person. The emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, Nobody was more, he was right there next to God only. Negus, the Lion of Judah. Everything.
Emperor Haile Selassie.
All that
Crumbled.
based on the assumption that the army is with them.
Rastafari.
Once Mengistu
Haile Mariam.
staged a coup, the emperor was gone. Negus was gone. Lion of Judah became the rat of Judah. But the state is doing it. Who takes the decision? It cannot be the majority of the population. So who takes the decision? There must be a certain group of people there who take this decision and in whose interest this decision is. I left from there to the definition of class. I didn't start by defining class. And I read from the definition of class to the definition of the ruling class. From there to the definition of power. You see? In another lecture, I then told them about the importance of the armed forces. What is the state itself? How is it organized? I told them. The state has certain agencies of power. The first is the army or the armed forces. Second, law courts. Third, civil service. Those who take the decisions regarding these organizations are the real rulers. What the Marxists are saying is that the basis of the state is power, class power. And the state is a class power. You see? Come to that conclusion by comparative analysis over an historical study. I know of institutions that were once powerful and then disappeared. And I know the circumstances in which they disappeared.
Rise and fall.
You see?
Empires.
You can't do any science without paying a lot of attention to empirical data. Which is why I'm supporting your research. I'm supporting it wholeheartedly because I've read a lot of rubbish. Someone will just sit down at his desk and start theorizing. That's how to go about it.